So, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida recently played peacemaker between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Was he actually trying to settle this feud, this dispute we've seen between these two American leaders? Or was there another plot or strategy behind the scenes at work that he and his team came up with that we're going to get into today? So, I am going to deliver what I believe is a big theory, but I'm going to connect the dots and hopefully show you that what I'm saying is potentially true. And this is something that, even if the final outcome doesn't occur, the actual setup, I would stake my reputation on this if I had one. So good thing I don't, because then it's easy to gamble on a reputation that doesn't exist or is negative. So there's a bigger reason here. Here's the thing. Here's what DeSantis did. Oh yeah, y'all are probably wondering, why is Troy looking so different today if you're used to coming to these videos? It's because my camera just decided to stop working completely right before this broadcast. So we've got the makeshift webcam today, and we're going to have to deal with it. All right, here we go. When a dog is angry, you don't jump in there and try to pet it, right? Why? Because your hand's going to get bit. Even if it's a good dog, even if it's a nice dog, if it's angry, if it's upset, if it's feeding time, whatever it is, if there's something there to make it mad, you don't pet it in that moment, right? And yet Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, held this press briefing this week and just happened to make some quote unquote offhand statements at the end of the press briefing. He was like, oh yeah, and I guess I should say something about whatever Musk said about creating an American party. You know, like, what do I think about that? Right? But these are not offhand statements. This was very cleverly put together and crafted ahead of time. And there's a reason for it. Okay, here we go. DeSantis started out this address. So y'all can see this over here. I'm going to play this video as I'm talking, though you can't hear the audio. He started out his address by complimenting Musk and his work at Doge. I finally said it right. I didn't say dog. I didn't say Dodge like I normally do. I finally said Doge. It just took me 7.5 months. DeSantis claimed that he was for term limits for Congress. Okay, so this is very interesting. Something he said before, and it generated a robust round of applause. As soon as he said, hey, I'm for term limits, people went nuts, right? Because there's a lot of people that are mad about what Congress is doing right now. There's a lot of people that are upset at the Democrats and Republicans in the House and in the Senate right now. So he went on to discuss government spending and his approach to curbing the problem, and he pointed out that Congress has actually been the major fighters against Doge and the spending cuts. So what did he emphasize? He emphasized Congress as the problem. This is what he said. We do have a problem in the Republican Party with these DC congressmen. They always run saying there's out of control spending and they're going to spend less. And they never do it. That's what he said, right? That's kind of what we've seen traditionally. Because if you see the graph that Elon Musk posted on X this week, the spending just keeps going up and up and up. It doesn't matter if we have Republicans or Democrats as the majority. So this is what he said. He said, essentially addressing those who are worried about the debt. He said, I wouldn't even worry about that because I don't think electing a few better people is going to change your trajectory. So what is he saying? He's saying, hey, we do have a looming debt issue. This is what Musk keeps pointing out. So many people keep pointing out. We pointed it out on this channel. We just did a huge episode about it last week. Y'all can go watch that. I'll link it below after this live stream. But what's he saying? He's saying, we're not going to solve it the way we've traditionally tried to solve it. This is what he said. We need incentives in Washington that are going to lead to these outcomes. So one of the things he mentioned was some of the things that Trump has started to try to do. And he's really, really, really putting the ball into the Congress's court right now. He said Congress has been the main fighters against some of the things that Trump has done, having to do with Doge, having to do with tariffs, having to do with immigration laws, all these things. Whether you're for or against those things, if you were backing Trump, or if you let's say you wanted everything Trump was trying to do to actually happen, who would be the main fighter and opponent against that? It would be Congress. And then he said, this is what he said. A lot of these things that Trump is trying to do, he said, I think you have to adopt in law if you want him to have staying power. Who holds the pen there? It's Congress. You have to get them to agree to it in the long term, or else it's not going to stick around. You know, you can keep writing executive orders all day long. And if you're Biden, you can keep writing them even when you're asleep and somebody else has got the pen. But if you're Trump, you can write them 24/7 as long as you're awake, right? And yet those things don't always stick around. Why? Because they don't have the legislation behind them. But this is what he pointed out next. He pointed out the common understanding of a third party, because this is what Elon is saying is, hey, let's make a new party, the American Party, right? And DeSantis points out in this video, hey, okay, this is what's going to happen if we have a third party. And we all know it's going to happen, right? This is what he said. I'm a believer in trying to work this stuff out through the Republican process rather than do that. But I think even more than that, doing these amendments, which are within our grasp, doesn't require Congress. That would have a huge impact. All right. This is right after he just said they're going to take votes. This new party is going to take votes from both sides, Republican and Democrat. Okay. That's what Elon's trying to do. Let's make the American Party right here in the middle. We're going to win because we got these extremists on both sides who don't know what they're doing, or they won't stick to their campaign promises anymore. So this is what DeSantis has said. And here's an article by Amber Jo Cooper, published on July 7th, that actually points this out. But essentially, he pointed to this idea of having a balanced budget amendment combined with Congress limits. So this is DeSantis's quote unquote solution, right? If we brought this amendment that was a balanced budget amendment, and you combine that with congressional limits on how long these congressmen could stay in power, right? Then suddenly you have a system that looks very different than the system we have now. And this is what he's proposing. So he's proposing a legitimate amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would need to be ratified through the states. Article V shows that 28 states have already approved balanced budget measures. So you've got to have 34. That would be only 6 more needed to draft an official amendment. 28 out of 34 have already approved this. So he's showing how close we are, essentially, to getting this done. And obviously, he kept referencing Florida and everything that they've done and how they've kind of started some of these initiatives. You can go watch the full video if you want to see that angle of it. But what is he doing? He's appealing to Musk, and he's saying, hey, take some real action. And hey, I'm gonna give my aside here and say Musk he's got a lot of money behind him. He's got a lot of supporters behind him now. He posted a post this week that got I don't even remember how many. It was like 200 million likes or something. I don't know. He's got over 200 million followers on X. You know, he's got this huge platform behind him. A lot of people are upset at Musk right now. I'll give you that. But at the same time, he still has so much power when it comes to moving a certain group of people, right? So this is what DeSantis is saying. He's saying, hey, rather than create a new political party, he's suggesting that he would have more impact on the national debt if he actually got behind these amendments and got behind these congressional term limits. So he named Elon in a positive way, which is kind of with a sort of an invitation to work together. This is what he said. Okay. So he's not bashing Elon. He's not bashing Trump. And he knows what he's doing. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But this is what he said. He said, that is achievable. And especially if somebody as significant as Elon wants to get in the game on that, he will have a very consequential impact on that. And he would be just the type that could bring this across the finish line. And wouldn't we want to see these guys have some limits on how much damage they can do? Then he said, I just don't think a third party is going to do it. But I do think these amendments could make a big, big difference. What is he doing? Well, I'm going to explain all this. I'm going to wrap this up and summarize what's happening here in a few minutes. But this is not the first time that DeSantis has talked about this kind of intention. So this is January 29th, 2024. Last year, Governor Ron DeSantis calls for term limits, other constitutional reforms to hold Congress in Washington, D.C. accountable. So this was published on the Florida governor website. He called for term limits, other constitutional reforms. He's wanting to hold these guys accountable. And what we just saw, why is he saying this now in front of the national news? He just tacked it on accidentally to the end of this press briefing. It wasn't an accident. It's on purpose. He's saying this in front of the national news because he's pointing back to, hey, I've been saying this the whole time, and now you're seeing the fruit of not doing anything about it. That's what he's trying to say. This is what he said then. He said, Washington, D.C. works for itself, not the American people. The current incentives in D.C. are to put American citizens last, and that needs to change. These reforms, term limits, a balanced budget requirement, will return power from entrenched D.C. elites to the American people and will incentivize better behavior by those in D.C. So he's been saying this the whole time, right? Or at least for a couple of years. So this article shows the resolution for a balanced budget, federal budget, citing Article V or 5, whatever. If you want to say it right, Roman numeral, who cares? I'm appealing to my Gen Zers out there to back me up. It's V now. We've changed it. I'm not a Gen Zer. For the sole purpose of considering and proposing constitutional amendments to the Constitution requiring a balanced federal budget in the absence of a national emergency. Do y'all see how I saved myself? Pulled myself out of the fire there? Either that or I dug a bigger hole. Y'all be the judge. Let me know in the comments. The Constitution has been amended 27 times. My Filibusted commentator has just let me know in the comments section. Okay, so what's going on here? What's going on? Musk is upset because he got behind. He was supporting the Democrats, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to support the Republicans and get behind Trump. Why? Because I think he's actually going to make a difference. And it wasn't just Trump he was getting behind. He was moving a lot of his money from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party because he put a vested interest and hope in this idea that the Republicans are going to fix this. One of those things being high on his list, the national debt problem. We addressed this last week in a longer episode. And then guess what's happened? The Republicans have let Elon Musk down. That's what's happened. So that's how he feels right now. So he's going for the third option, third party option, right? No pun intended. Let's create a third party. Let's create an American party. It'll be interesting to see how Musk reacts to what DeSantis has said. Because DeSantis is he's appealing to Musk's quote unquote better side. He's appealing to his desire to take definite action, right? And yes, I would say Elon, if anybody can create a third party, Elon Musk can do it. I'm just going to say that. He's got, like I've said, he's got the money, he's got the political persuasion, he's got the buying power, he's got all these things. He could do it. But even though he is claiming that it's been formed, there's no evidence to that yet. So at the moment, from what we've seen, the evidence we've gathered, it seems like he's still just toying with the idea. He's just testing the water. But let's say he gets a hold of what DeSantis is saying. There's a reason for that. There's a reason DeSantis is saying it. I don't know what would happen. I honestly don't know what would happen. If Elon Musk saw what DeSantis was saying, he probably has people that have seen it. I don't know what his response would be to this. Oh man, there's so many things that people are upset at the Congress right now, upset even at the Trump administration, I'll admit. I mean, you got the whole Epstein debacle happening right now. The public is saying, wait a minute, you said this, now you're doing this, what's happening, right? And I believe Musk is using that critical moment while people are upset to try to start something new, and so is DeSantis. Okay, so here we go. This is when we get into it. Obviously, Musk has been talking a lot about this new party, but look at what he's talked about before. Elon Musk says he will support Florida's DeSantis if he runs for president. Interesting. DeSantis had Elon Musk's potential support at one point, and Musk claimed he preferred a centrist politician. It says someone sensible and centrist. Okay. In a tweet from 2022, he was asked if he would support DeSantis, to which he replied, yes. As a reminder, I was a significant supporter of the Obama-Biden presidency and reluctantly voted for Biden over Trump. So that was Musk's political history and voting history, right? And supportive history. Probably donations out the wazoo. No sweat for Elon Musk, right? Okay. This is weird. This is super weird. Here's where the twist comes in. CNN posted this article. There's no twist. Y'all know where I'm headed. February 22nd, 2024. DeSantis moves toward running again in 2028 and draws ire, who knows how to say that word, from Trump's inner circle. All right. So they lay out the evidence that DeSantis is going to run again in 2028. See if I can switch the screen back. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through this. Y'all can disagree with me. That's fine. I think DeSantis is setting up a political campaign, and I think he's getting his campaign started early. I think that's what's happening here. This is not some offhand comment. This is DeSantis and his team sitting down and saying, hey, with everything happening right now, everybody's mad. So a lot of people are mad at Trump. A lot of people are mad at Elon. A lot of people, almost everybody's mad at Congress, right? A lot of people are mad about the debt situation. A lot of people are mad about the big bill, whether it did what they wanted or not. And I mean, hey, we did a whole breakdown of the big bill. We did a breakdown about a month and a half ago. Then we did another breakdown last week when it got passed. Guess what we saw? the original bill was not too bad. It was awesome, actually. And there would have been a positive net revenue flow from the original bill. And then we broke it down again. And guess what? They added $1 trillion in debt to the bill. It was $1 trillion worse, essentially, $900 billion. And so we broke it down. Whose fault was that? Guess what? It was Congress. It was the House and it was the Senate. So Trump's big, beautiful bill turned into not Trump, but the House's not so beautiful bill, right? And the Senate's even worse bill. Like it just like went down the tubes pretty quick. So a lot of people are upset. And at this critical moment, here's what's happening. DeSantis sat down with his team of marketers, team of assistants, whoever they were, and they said, hey, I'm going to give it. He said, I'm going to give an offhand comment. And this is conjecture now. This is me. This is my theory. I'm going to give an quote unquote offhand comment about what's happening, but we're going to move the needle in this political campaign for 2028. So this is what he did. Watch in this short video. I'm going to go back to it. You want to watch the video? You can watch through the whole thing. Now we got to sit here and watch ads. You can go through the whole thing and see what DeSantis says. This is what he does. He addresses people who are mad at Congress right now by promoting term limits, by talking about their unrealized campaign promises, especially the Republicans, because that's the party he's inside of, right? And then he points to Florida, where he's governor. He says Florida has already certified both of those things, talking about the term limits and the budget amendment. Then he addresses people who are upset at Trump right now. And guess what he does? He passes the blame to Congress. So people that like Trump, that voted for Trump, but they're kind of upset with where things are at, and he passes the blame. And he says, hey, don't be mad at Trump. He says, Congress is who you need to be mad at. And then look at this. Then he addresses the people who are still 100% pro-Trump. And what does he say? He focuses on those conservatives and Republicans' fears. The fears are, what is happening to the conservative world right now? What's happening to the Republican Party? What is Elon trying to do? Why are we disrupting what we had a good thing going? What's going on? And what does he say? He says, let's not split this party. Let's continue the work that Trump started. Then he addresses the potential of Elon splitting the party. What does he say? He calls for direct action from Elon Musk. And he potentially tries to get him to not split the party by redirecting him and saying, hey, you're putting all your effort in this direction. And he's saying, hey, that you've done some good work so far, but hey, come back over here. And I think we can fix this within the construct of the Republican Party. But he says it's not by voting new people into office. It's not by starting a new party. He says, hey, it's by actually putting term limits on Congress and then fixing the Constitution, essentially, or amending the Constitution, I should say. And then he also speaks well of Elon Musk, citing back to the time where Elon himself said he would support DeSantis as a presidential candidate. Why? Probably to try to recover his support. He knows how much of a difference Elon's support in Trump's campaign last time around made, and he wants that same support this next time around. What does he address next? Then he addresses the big looming debt issue that we all have on our mind right now as Americans. Even if you don't live in America, a lot of different nations have the same issue happening, right? What does he do? He directly mentions Florida's results. And he says, talking about Florida, who he's been the governor of, he says, we have a budget surplus and are paying down debt, which they are. He's right about that. And that's unheard of in American government and politics. Then he says, we have the second lowest spending per capita of all 50 states. That's amazing. Pretty dang good points, if you ask me. But why is he saying that? This is what he's saying. He's putting himself into the position of, hey, this is what Ron DeSantis would do if he were in power. Now, you might not like Ron DeSantis. You might love him. I don't know. I personally would support him. I'm just going to let you know. I'm not speaking for all of the hosts here on Filibusted, so maybe we'll do an episode where we all debate this at some point. I don't know. And say who's for him, who's not. But pending there not being a better choice, I would definitely support Ron DeSantis. But what else does he do? Here's the last thing. He says in the late 90s, here's the last thing he does. And he paints this picture of this beautiful world that we could have had. And then this is right after giving us a direct route to get there, right? He says in the late 90s, they were one vote away in the U.S. Senate from passing a balanced budget amendment. Then he says, we had a budget surplus at the time. And he says, and then he asks us to imagine what the world would look like now if that had occurred. If we weren't fighting about the budget and, oh, we got to raise the debt ceiling here, we got to do this here. And then, well, it's the Republicans' fault, it's the Democrats' fault. It's the, and it's all these things for the last 20 plus years, 30 years. But if we had actually had a balanced budget this whole time, where would we be as a nation now? Things would look very different. That's the image he paints in our mind. And yeah, maybe we would have, some negatives we don't have now. There'd be pros and cons, right? But he's trying to paint this picture in our minds of this beautiful outcome and showing us how to get there, right? So that's my idea. That's my theory. This is a early campaign strategy. This is an early campaign speech. That's what this is. And because he's talking about what's happening in the news right now, he's getting the coverage. Hey, I'm all for it. If you like DeSantis, you're probably going to be all for this. If you don't like him, you're probably not going to like what he's doing, right? But 270,000 views since yesterday on an offhand comment, what seems like an offhand comment, but he knows what he's doing, right? He's got a good team of guys behind him, of people behind him, marketers, and yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. So there's my theory. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments after the fact. Anyways, let me know what you think about DeSantis running for president in 2028, potentially. And also, what do you think about his amendment idea? The Congress term limits, the constitutional amendment. Would these things actually do what he's saying they would do? Yes, no, or a mix. All right, that's it. We're going to have some really cool conversations for y'all later this week. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about potentially international waters and some of the crazy things that are happening right now between European Union, some of the countries around the world, and Trump, and then also some of the weird evidence that's being raked up behind the scenes as to some of the things that are happening. So y'all make sure you tune in. We're typically streaming around 2 p.m., sometimes 3 p.m. in the afternoons now, weekdays, and that's Central Time, U.S. Central Time. You'll have to figure out what that time that is. But then on Thursdays, we're still streaming at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, Central Time, U.S. Central Time. So just to let y'all know that that's what's going on. So, all right, that's it. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.